preview the captains. What are the keys to success for the captains? And afterwards, Noah, let's talk about Mary Washington.
Well, Rob, it's hard not to sound like a broken record when talking about the keys to the game for the captains. I mean, and that's sticking to their game plan, sticking to that up-tempo level of play that they press forward with, and that being the press, the defensive press, forcing their opponents into turnovers and as well as unforced turnovers, Rob, as we've seen, like, the pressure starts to get to teams as you get late into that second and third quarter and they start to make silly mistakes. But I think that tempo, as well as, playing through Sandra Fan, playing through Natalie Terwilliger and Nia Simmons, and the energy that they bring on both sides of the court, I think will be crucial for the Captains today.
And Noah, let's talk about Mary Washington for a moment.
Well, Mary Washington, they put up a very stout defense. They ranked 10th in the nation in block shots per game. They're only letting up 56 points per game. But CNU is coming in strong with almost 90 points per game averaging on offense. So they just got to keep that defensive effort going. And last game against Stevenson, weren't able to come out with the win. But off the bench, Bree Harper came in strong with 25 points. So if they can get that bench presence again and kind of get a more versatile lineup with a lot of mixed scores, they could do some damage.
And I think that it's definitely going to be a scrappy game. It's this offensive CNU versus the defensive Mary Washington. And I say that like CNU isn't ranked pretty high nationally in steals per game. Their defense is tenacious, as Trey said, and we should be in for a treat between these two teams. And we'll get into starters right now. First and foremost for the Eagles visiting from Fredericksburg, Virginia. At guard, it'll be number 10, Keegan Schwab. Following her, Molly Sharman number 22. Then 23, Jordan Carpenter. Then Ashley Martin. Martin's number 34 in Navy today. And then 50 is Tori Martin. So a pair of Martins out there for the Eagles. And as for the captains, at point guard, it'll be Sandra Finn, number 15 for Christopher Newport. Gabby Sandiego up there as guard as well. Felicia McGinnis, Anaya Simmons, and Natalie Terwilliger round out the group for Christopher Newport. And as we head into this game, I'll give you guys one more moment before I really dominate the play-by-play. What are your final thoughts in the pregame as we get ready for tip-off?
I think that when you're the Eagles, you have to play through Jordan Carpenter. She's a phenomenal player, averaging almost a double-double this season, and she's going to be the key to this game.
And I think that on the captain's side of the play, I think you just have to knock down threes. CNU does a pretty good job at it. Mary Washington, not so much. So if you can get those shots coming down from downtown, it'll be key.
The snow's not stopping the fans from coming here to Newport News. We've got a packed house here at the Freeman Center. TJ Willem Court, the site for this contest. The ball is up and away we go. Mary Washington in the Navy, walking from right to left on your screen in the first half. Their Navy uniforms, red piping, white lettering, gets things started. The captains in their breast cancer awareness uniforms, all pinks from top to bottom with the blue on the side and the white letters. First possession of the day, up and in. Good shot there from Tori Martin. Gets the Eagles on the board, and Gabby Sandiego will push the offense the other way. It's going to be a good opportunity for the captains to get set as Sandra Fan is deep into the corner. She drives, pushes outside to Sandiego for three from the corner. She is good, and the captains have their chance to set up their full court press. For the first time today, they lead now 3-2, less than a minute into the contest.
And with all the ways that the captains can score, Rob, giving up open three-pointers like that is not an extra weapon you want to give them.
Shot is up and no good from Carpenter, and quickly the captains going the other way before a quick steal from Martin. I think that might have been a travel. It absolutely was, and we go the other way.
Great awareness by Martin, jumping into that passing lane. I think Gabby Sandiego will be a little more cognizant of where she's throwing that one next time. Unfortunately, she couldn't get the bucket to go there because of the travel.
Gabby Sandiego getting set. Terwilliger and Simmons there on the elbows. Simmons now driving one-on-one. She goes up, off the block, and in. Simmons gets her first 2 points of the day.
A sight we're familiar to see with Rob, Anaya Simmons with that explosive jab step and getting straight to the rim.
Ball kind of passed up in an awkward lob. Ball movement good and fluid, but a block from Simmons ends up fortuitous into the hands of number 34, Martin, and quickly the other way go the captains. There goes a no-look pass from San Diego into Terwilliger, and that's a bucket.
That was a great job by San Diego. I don't know if you saw it, but that in and out, and then that move to freeze her defender at the top of the key before driving it and passing it off to Terwilliger.
Quickly, it is a 7-2 game here in Newport News. The captains get another takeaway, and wouldn't be surprised if things don't start going Mary Washington's way if we see a timeout from head coach Dina Appleby. Ball inside, a mismatch there, but Terwilliger comes in to help. And it looks like it stays here with Mary Washington.
You know, just off the rip, Senior's defense has been stifling in the middle. We've seen a couple blocks, a lot of broken up passes. Mary Washington going to have to clean that up if they want to have a chance early on. It's already 7-2, as you said.
Good offensive possession here will really get them kind of in a groove. That's what they need against this Captains team. And they've got a decent defense, but so far the Captains, they're the defense that has been better through the first 2 minutes of the game. Of course, we still have 38 minutes of basketball to play. So it is still very early in the contest, and we've got plenty of things to talk about. The band is in full force behind the Captains right now. And Terwilliger kind of not looking. I think they tried to pass it into a front-facing Terwilliger. And Carpenter got fouled. I believe it was on the floor, and it sure was. So,
and as Noah said earlier, Rob, you know, these are things that the Eagles want to clean up early because trying to come back against CNU is going to be a difficult feat indeed, as Jordan Carpenter gets a steal from Terwilliger. Gets it over to Tori Martin, who fakes.
That's got to be a foul, and it absolutely is on Anaya Simmons. Terwilliger had a great block there and couldn't quite corral the rebound, and she's taken responsibility for that one as Simmons ends up with the foul on the back and forth. And now back to the line is number 34, Martin. Ashley Martin shooting from the charity stripe for the first time today. Still no subs yet in this contest. Bill Broderick, known for his line changes. That ball is up and out as well. So Terwilliger, number 45 in pink this afternoon, scoops the rebound and tosses it to San Diego, or point guard, off to Fan. Simmons now looking for McGinnis. Back to Sandra Fan. The offense gets settled halfway through the shot clock, driving up, and Gabby San Diego tried to call her own number, got blocked, and ended up out of play off the knee of San Diego.
It's a great play by Molly Sharman there. Active hands. Easy to foul someone Gabby San Diego's size. So great control.
Having a hard time getting the ball across the timeline. They finally do break the press. Going up to Terwilliger. Just a big presence, and they find Carpenter down low for a bucket.
Great
Carpenter for her first bucket of the day. And Simmons quickly gets the and one. She rolls into the crowd, and 9-4 to score. Simmons will get the extra attempt from the line, and what great transition offense from Christopher Newport.
And you could see it right there, Rob, the balance between power and finesse from Anaya Simmons, something we see so often from her.
So Simmons now at the line, shooting one. Up and front rim, backboard and in. That ball touched everything it could have before finding its way into the bucket. Passing it in now is Sharman, and they finally get it across midcourt. This press has been obnoxious, to say the least. 10-4 here, our score. Just under 3 minutes into the contest. Mid-range jumper misses everything, and it ends up out of play. And here come the airball chants from Professor John Lopez's band.
You know, Mary Washington in this game really can't afford to miss those easy shots like that. When you get mismatches in the paint, you have these jump shots that fall short, you go 0 for 2 from the free throw line. That's not actions that are going to contribute to a win coming out of this gym tonight.
Captain's getting the offense together. Ball high to Terwilliger, now over. Captain's working on off-ball motion. Sandra Fan with a little crossover, and she plays catch with San Diego. San Diego ends up with the ball after Sandra Fan loses it. 7 seconds here on the shot clock. Captains look for a high pick and roll. San Diego doing the same thing she did on the last possession. They have to get the ball up, and Terwilliger can't get it off in time. That is a shot clock violation.
not the cleanest possession you want to see if you're Bill Broderick. Captains moving the ball around all right, but looking just a little sluggish there on offense. Though the same cannot be said for their defense up to this point.
Still a pretty light game. Julia Ng now in for the Captains as that ball is up and in from Carpenter. She now leads her team with 4 points. McGinnis on the near side finds Terwilliger, who finds a backdoor cutting Sandra Fan, but a great block there by Carpenter, and here come the Eagles going the other way. 5:47 to go here in the first quarter. 10-6 our score. Driving up, Carpenter will go up again. The rebound comes in and off of Keegan Schwab, and in comes Julia Hobbs.
And very early on, we're seeing Jordan Carpenter's fingerprints all over this game, which is exactly what we mentioned earlier, Rob, as a key for the Eagles. Keegan Schwab getting 2 early assists, beating her down low, and other teammates starting to do that as well. So expect to see that play out as we move forward.
Foster now driving, trying to avoid the block, and she can't, but finds her rebound out to Foster. A shot in the corner from McGinnis. Now back to Foster. She'll shoot 4-3.
Gotta watch Jessica Foster out there. And I know it didn't translate immediately to points, but that tip out by Sandra Fan was quite a heads-up play as an athlete.
Fan got blocked, and she ended up just kind of tipping the ball out to Foster. We found McGinnis for the first chance, and then Foster said, I'm going to call my own number this time, and she got the bucket. A little bit of a frenzy down by the Eagles basket, and a bucket finally from 34. That's Martin.
You love to see that hustle by Jordan Carpenter, potentially your best player. Even though she's not the one scoring the basket, she's giving her all to make sure she puts her teammates in a position for success.
Foster now in the corner after Sandra Fan thought about it and couldn't quite pull the trigger. Halfway through the shot clock. Driving is McGinnis. She passes it to Dina Appleby, and Dina Appleby, of course, not a player. That'll bring us to our first dead ball media timeout of the day. 13-8 our score. Captains lead this one, and it very clearly, guys, it is obvious this is not going to be one of those captains blowouts.
No, definitely not. The Mary Washington defense has come out to play. They already have a few blocks, and Sandra Fan especially, she's shooting 48% from 3. She has not gotten one off yet, and she's had a lot of chances behind the arc, but that defense is just coming up, forcing her. She's been forced to drive in, kick it out. I think that's stopping those seeming low percentage shots that you have these specialists at, and locking them down and force them to make other decisions is going to be key for the rest of the game.
I would tell you guys to pump the brakes on saying that this won't be a CNU blowout. With all due respect to the Eagles, we've seen games where the captains start off a little slow, but as they start to get into that later in that second and third quarter, they can start to move very quickly. But Jordan Carpenter is going to be key.
I think you couldn't be more wrong. I think this game is going to be, I wouldn't say it's going to go down to the wire, but I think it's certainly going to be within 10 points and maybe even within a possession at the end.
I will wager you lunch. I don't know if we're allowed to do that on the air.
I don't think so. Point is, it is, I think, going to be like this all day. The way that Mary Washington's defense is, the way that their offense just keeps pounding in the paint. Three-pointer here from Foster. No good off the front iron and the rebound. Another thing the Eagles do well. All inside. Here comes a bucket from number 4 in blue. Check my roster. That is Sherman. Sydney Sherman gets the points.
And that's great composure and ball movement by the Eagles, something that we expect to see them keep up throughout the game.
More ball movement from the captains, saying anything you can do, I can do better. Driving is Winky. And a foul there on the floor. Here with 3:50 to go in the opening quarter. It's a 3-point game right now. It was a shooting, so it's shooting at the line. Julia Ng for a pair. Looking to extend this to a 2-possession game. That ball rattles in and right back out. Winky and McGinnis will find their way into the box. That ball is off as well, and the rebound finds Carpenter. A quick break of the press and a little shuffle of the feet and the drive up and good from 32 in blue. I think that was 32. Is that right?
That's correct. Bree Harper, hero of last game for the Eagles.
Driving is Winky, giving it up to the outside. That's 20 in pink. Jessica Foster. Foster gets hacked there by Megan Baxter. It's her first foul of the day. Third team foul. And back on comes Terwilliger. Off goes Julia Hobbs. Certainly an odd amalgamation of colors out there today with the pinks, reds, blues. Normally you see the white and navy or the blue and white. Ball up from Terwilliger is good. That was a good little front side, backside hook shot. Sends the lead back out to 3 for the Lady Captains.
So far, the Eagles doing a great job getting through this press, staying very composed under such frantic pressure.
And the pressure is full court. It's beginning to end as that ball is stolen away by Ing. Back behind and no, it's not an offensive foul. They'll count the bucket for Felicia McGinnis. Trey, Noah, somebody, tell me what happened there.
Well, that was a great effort there by Bree Harper. Anytime you're willing to sacrifice your body and put your body on the line for the team, I mean, it's admirable for sure. Just couldn't quite get her feet set as she stepped in front of Felicia McGinnis.
Now, looking at it a second time, it definitely looked like she didn't quite get her feet set. It looked like she was actually falling before she was ever hit. The rebound after the missed free throw comes long, and Terwilliger gets a three-pointer. She's got it.
Do not let the post moves fool you. Natalie Terwilliger is a threat from outside.
She can do it from all over the place, and I think we know that. I also think Dina Appleby and her Eagles know that as well, and that's just a misfortunate. There's a three-pointer response from Bree Harper.
The beautiful arc and follow-through on that jump shot.
Wide open Julia Ing down low. She misses the layup. I think she just rushed herself a little bit, and Harper gets the rebound. Harper pushes onward, and an errant pass back into the hands of Ing, who's going floor to floor, baseline to baseline.
It's almost as if they're just running sprints out there.
It feels like it. Into Terwilliger. Terwilliger, right, then left. Uses the left hand to go up just off the front iron. Rolled off.
You need some points here if you're the Eagles. The captains have been making a few mistakes here after possession, so you need to capitalize and score some points.
Big thing right now, where are the rebound numbers for these sides? They look relatively even. 9 for the Eagles, 7 for the Captains. 5 seconds here on the shot clock. 3, 2, and they get it off in time. No good, but the rebound goes to Ing. Ing will pass it up to Foster, and will slow things down. Full line change coming for Mary Washington. Captains have Fan and San Diego ready to come back in. A foul there on number 4 in blue. I believe that's who it was. That's Sydney Sherman. No, they call it on 4?
I think they got a push off. On
It was on Terwilliger. Okay, I missed that. That's why we have 2 extra sets of eyes today. So that ball is passed backwards. Harper will have to corral. They've got 5 seconds to get it across midcourt. They do just that. Now to the outside. 3-point opportunity from Schwab is good. It's a 2-point game. 1 minute to go here in the opening quarter. Fan thought about it. She went up, and a jump ball earned by Mary Washington, and through a quarter. And guys, we can talk about this at the break. But through a quarter, we've already seen what we expected to see. It's been a very toughly played defensive game. It's been a very chippy game, and I think that's going to continue for 3 more quarters. There goes San Diego. She drives up off the high glass and in.
And just to take a second and talk about that last play where Sandra Fan uses great speed and explosiveness to blow by her defender. Tori Martin not giving up and still getting back into that play to cause a jump ball. That's just, love that effort and that heart. 37 seconds to go here in the opening quarter. And
A 7.8-second differential between the game and shot clock. So the Captains had a chance to do a 2-for-1 there as Killoy goes up, banks it in.
There's definitely a sense of urgency among the Captains that Mary Washington's been almost sloppy on offense and has still resulted in points, only down by 6 now. But CNU on offense, on defense, firing on all cylinders in the first quarter.
It's an important possession here for Mary Washington. That ball is up. Great shot opportunity. No, it just falls in. And it's 24 to 20, 5 seconds to go in the quarter. Passing it outside. Fan for 3 as time expires. And that's how we end the opening quarter. A thriller to say the least. And we've got 30 more minutes of this. Guys, we are in for a good one today.
Absolutely, Rob. I mean, it's hard to even know where to start or where I should talk about. I mean, for the Eagles, you're seeing Keegan Schwab and Jordan Carpenter, Bree Harper, Tori Martin all having an impact on this game with their extra energy and efficiency, as well as everyone moving the ball. You can't beat the Captains with one person. You're going to need to move the ball around, so that gives Jordan Carpenter even more ability to do her thing because the Captains have to worry about other players.
I think you hit all the right notes, and I think that one thing that this Mary Washington team has to maintain is just keep the same tempo as CNU because, like I said earlier, the Captains are moving very fast on both offense and defense at this point. I think Mary Washington, the stats line up pretty well, but you look on the court, and I don't think the stats speak for the game flow at this point.
Heading into quarter number 2, Mary Washington has a key stat that the Captains like to take advantage of, and that's the rebounding numbers. Right now, Mary Washington out-rebounding the Captains only by 2. But that's a place the Captains try to dominate when it comes to winning games. It usually comes because of the rebounds, both offensively and defensively. We get our stats here running into quarter number 2. Mary Washington will start with the ball. We've only had one lead in this game, but they've kept it close. It's something the Captains have experienced time and again throughout the season, but usually they have a tendency to pull away. And, of course, Trey thinks that's going to happen eventually. I think it's going to look like this most of the game. And Mary Washington, if they have anything to say about it, it sure will be a good one. It's always a rivalry. That ball is up. And a foul is called. Let's see who it's on. First foul for Mary Washington. That's on number 34, Bree Harper. No, excuse me, that's Ashley Martin.
It's almost hard to imagine this intensity lasting throughout the game. Like, you've got to figure fatigue sets in at some point. I know we're early on, but if we do get to see this intensity throughout the game, like you said, Rob, we are in for a treat.
Sandra Fan giving it up to Simmons. Simmons underhanded with the right hand on the left side. Finesse.
The touch she has on that scoop layup is unrivaled, I would say.
Mary Washington now. Sounds like they're going to be harassing number 22, Molly Sharman, for the air ball earlier for a little bit. The band, that is. Going coast to coast is Sandra Fan. Couldn't quite get the rebound. After a missed layup, Killoy gets the board. Kind of gets slammed and finally gets the foul call. Number 23, Jordan Carpenter, landed on her back a little bit. It kind of seemed awkward, and I think if you're Mary Washington, you want that foul to get called earlier so it's not a shooting foul. And hopefully Hannah Killoy goes to the line and makes the Eagles pay for that mistake.
Just to go back to the other end for a moment, that was another great move we saw by Megan Baxter at the top of the key. And a little fake half spin to get underneath the rim and just couldn't capitalize.
So Killoy makes the first of 2, 27-20. Our score at the moment. Captain's on a bit of a run here. And that one short off the front iron. Rebound comes to number 10, Keegan Schwab. Now to the outside. Three-pointer from Baxter, no good. Rebound Simmons. Simmons got a little contact to the face. She gets it to San Diego. Brings it across the court, through the paint, and out to Sandra Fan. Fan with a crossover. Passes in and wide open Simmons for 2.
Well, I think even if Sandra Fan isn't contributing points-wise, she is drawing the defense and is allowing players like Simmons to get open underneath because they gravitate towards her, thinking she's going to put up the three. She drives, and they still have to step up, leaving holes behind her.
Mary Washington trying to get an opportunity from beyond the arc. They continue to berate Sharman. The band just airball, 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 and Sharman gets a bucket, nothing but the bottom of the nylon.
And I think if you're Molly Sharman, you got to hunt for that matchup. You've got the size mismatch against Gabby San Diego, so go ahead and take it every chance you get.
Fan into Simmons, 4-2. And Fan has been finding Simmons time and time again. And you talk about that matchup down there. Let's talk about the one with Simmons down low, because it doesn't matter who she's up against. She's been able to dominate down low.
Again, we talk about that combination of power and finesse, and she's got it all.
Ball passed inside. And another air ball from Sydney Sherman. Good crossover there from Fan. She gives it up to who else but Simmons for a pair. And a timeout from Dina Appleby. 33-22. Captain's on a bit of a run, and it'll be immediate timeout so we can step back and talk about what's going on. The Captain's rolling here into the quarter on a 9-2 run. Explain to me what is going on.
Well, I think what's been happening is that Mary Washington has been trying to match the Captain's tempo, but to no avail. You see they're putting up a lot of quick shots. They're not trying to take a lot off the game clock. But if you're not able to capitalize, then you're not doing that much for yourself, because all you're doing is giving the Captains less effort they have to put on defense if you're just going to take 2 to 5 seconds off the shot clock. So I think that Mary Washington needs to work on slowing their offensive down and saying, look, we can't match up with their tempo, so we're going to have to do our own thing, put up good shots, and see if we can capitalize a little bit on defense as well.
And I think that's a great point, Noah. And even when you do have those quicker possessions, you've got to make those looks right there that we've seen. Multiple missed shots in the paint. You can't leave points on the board when it comes to the Captains. And I think the other part of what we're seeing, Rob, is just the chemistry that you and I have witnessed from Anaya Simmons and Sandra Fan over these last several years that have been building. And especially in fast break, we've seen this team constantly. They're unselfish, and they will look for the best play that's available.
Captain's on a bit of a run here. Rolling into the quarter, it was 24-20 at the end of one. It's currently 33-22, and Mary Washington a bit out of sorts. It is a game of runs. It's just a matter of if this visiting Eagles team can get on a run of their own. Starting with a three-pointer, up, no good. Rebound comes to the Pink Ladies. Captains with a full line change here, it seems. A lot of new names into the lineup. Up top is Foster. Up on, I believe that's Katie Rader, wide left. Rebound to Lexi White. And foul gets called on the floor. Foul gets called on number 22, Molly Sharman.
And like you said about a completely new lineup here for the Captains, a bit surprising to see Olivia Giles just now getting into the game. We've seen in the past how her athleticism, particularly around the rim on both sides, gets great chances for the Captains. So I think that's something to look forward to facing this Eagles bench.
Seems like as of late, and I haven't been fully looking into it, but it seems like as of late, Giles and a couple of other Captains have seen fewer minutes in these tighter games, and I agree with you. I'm not 100% sure why. I think the Captains' success is in their depth, and obviously haven't been home in a while, so we haven't seen them play. Maybe Bill Broderick is seeing something we're not seeing, but I noticed that lack in minutes as well for Giles and a couple of others. Three-pointer from Foster rattles out.
You know, it could also just be Broderick trying to experiment with some new lineups, keep Mary Washington on their toes, and not lull them into a sense of complacency that they have to keep their eye out for different players that have different stat lines and can do different things, because, you know, you have some players like Sandra Fan, three-point specialists. You have players like Simmons, who are specialists down low, and so having to rotate through players, it just keeps them on their toes.
5 on the floor for Mary Washington right now, as that's a travel call to Schwab. Sharman. I think that's number 5, Carissa Highlander. She's new to the game as of late. Sophia Pavlich, and, of course, Bree Harper in the lineup. And for the captains, it's Lexi White, Jessica Foster, Hannah Kaloy, Olivia Giles, and Katie Rader. Giles with the ball at the moment. Captains running their offense. Kaloy up top. Kaloy looking for somewhere to go with it. A lot of off-ball movement for the captains. Foster, 4 seconds on the shot clock. She's going to have to do something with it. Floats it up. What do you say? I mean, what do you say? She really was running out of time. Just threw that ball up there. I mean, it was a coordinated shot, a little bit off balance, and just fell like teardrops right back into the net.
And I think if you're the Eagles, I don't think you put too much weight into that possession. I thought it was a good defensive possession. They did a great job keeping their feet in front of the captains. I mean, just sometimes great offense will beat great defense.
Sharman up, no good. Driving is Giles. Giles with a spin move. Gets hit by Bree Harper. And to the line will go Olivia Giles. 4:18 to go here in the second quarter. Giles to the line.
And it was all Bree Harper could do to get that foul off. I mean, a strong spin move there from Olivia Giles, and already in the air by time Bree Harper turns and looks at her, hovering about a foot above her.
She makes the first, misses the second. The rebound comes to Mary Washington, who through this quarter has only scored 2 points.
And there's another thing that we can see the Eagles take advantage of is
Rader takes that ball away up to Foster. Foster goes up and nonchalantly circus shot layup. Gets another pair. Continue your thought there, Trey.
Well, I just wanted to make the point that the captains are not shooting very well from the free throw line today, and that's just another way that the Eagles can stay in this game so long as they are making the most out of their possessions and their free throws.
I think what's happening is they really aren't making the most of their possessions. On that last one, Keegan Schwab was open for almost the entire time. She was screaming for it in the post. She went out to the three-point line. Then finally, when they looked to get the ball to her, it was a kind of a lazy air pass that was easily intercepted by the captain. So I feel like that Mary Washington really needs to pick up and do better on offense and be more efficient.
I agree with you here. Captain's currently on an 18-4 run in the last about 7 minutes and change, and an offensive foul there earned by the captains.
I'm beginning to wonder how much time this lineup has seen with each other for the Eagles. I see a lot of static motion, not a lot of movement as we've seen in the previous lineups today. A lot of ball watching, which when that happens, the defense can easily collapse on the ball carrier.
Pull it from Giles, no good. Rebound ends up on the floor. Everybody falls on it. Somebody's got to be out of bounds. It'll be a jump ball. Everybody on the floor.
Great hustle, great effort. You love to see it. Even happier to see no one hurt as they dove onto that floor.
Captains in the last 5 minutes of gameplay, 9-0 run. We want to extend that out. Make it 20-4.
And that's a warm-up jumper right there. You cannot allow looks like that in the paint.
Mary Washington hasn't scored in almost 5 minutes. It's been a while, and they've only scored 1 bucket this entire quarter.
I think it's important not to panic here. Your starters are getting their rest. I mean, you're led by Keegan Schwab out here right now, and there's struggle, but there's also still plenty of time to get back into this one with the defense we've seen them play earlier.
Kaloy for 3 off the brick. Rebound by McGinnis. Ends up out of play. It will stay in the captain's possession, and Orloff and San Diego come into the game for Christopher Newport.
And just to continue that thought as well, Rob, it's not as if the captains are playing by any means perfect basketball, or even what we've seen their potential to be as in like their
best
greatest
basketball.
Exactly. So
There goes Giles.
no foul there. Surprising a little bit.
And the jump ball. Go ahead, Trey.
So with the captains not playing their best basketball, you gotta be able to start chipping at this lead, whether or not your starters are in the game. And just 2 points, 6 points at a time, just small chunks, play by play. But you've got to be sharp on both ends. Your margin for error is very small right now.
I think that also kind of defines what CNU season has been so far, because even if they aren't playing their best basketball, they're still up by 18 at this point. And so if you say they're not playing their best, then I can't imagine what Mary Washington's going to have to deal with if they start filling in the cracks and perfecting their craft on the court.
Another miss from beyond the arc. A three-pointer from McGinnis. Ends up right in the hands of Lexi White for a pair, but the Eagles just ice cold here in the quarter.
There's one example right there. No box out. Not even a challenge to rebound there. Lexi White just falls right into her hands and easy bucket.
At the end of the first quarter, Mary Washington was 9 for 17 shooting. They're currently 10 for 28. 1 for 11 here in the quarter. Shooting percentage has dropped significantly.
Looking at the captains having 11 second chance points to the Eagles 2. And that kind of difference in margin will result in exactly what we're seeing as
we finally get a bucket.
Molly Sharman, first one to break the drought.
So a 13-0 run is broken. Captains go on a 13-0 run, 22-4 run in all. A 22-4 run here in the second quarter. Only 4 points for the Eagles here through the last 10 minutes of play. Orloff unable to get the shot off in time, and the captains just took a little too much time there, trying to take advantage of the opportunity to get a 2-for-1. 42-24 our score. A palindrome on our scoreboard today. 41.6 seconds to go in the opening half. Captains lead this one by a sizable margin at this point. Ball sent down low. They break the press. Ball gets tipped out of play by Lexi White. It's a quick recovery by the defense.
And that's a great play. That's a great find. I believe it was from Megan Baxter to get the ball down low to Molly Sharman. But CNU, who is out of place, hustles so quickly to get back. 2 passes, and CNU is back into the rotation and stops an easy 2 points.
Ball passed in. 11-second difference between the game and shot clocks. Now the shot clock is off. A rebound from Giles. Giles finds San Diego to get across half court, and the Captains will take the last shot of the quarter. 13 seconds here to go in the frame. San Diego orchestrating the offense. High pick from Hobbs. 4 seconds. Three-pointer from San Diego is good. And the Captains go into the break. 45-24 our score. And CNU is rolling through 10 and this second set of 10 minutes. They'll call it a two-pointer. So 44-24 our score at the half. And really the tale of 2 quarters is a 24-20 score at the end of quarter number 1. And Noah, we'll start with you. What changed between the first 10 minutes and the second?
Well, I think CNU got a lot less sloppy on offense. And I think that they were able to kind of figure out what Mary Washington was trying to do on defense. And while the Captains weren't really able to capitalize on the threes, which they were good at, they were able to find a lot of plays in the post. I mean, we saw Simmons inside a lot. And so I think that CNU they just kind of figured Mary Washington out. And then on their defensive side, that Mary Washington missed a lot of shots. And Captains were always there, it seemed, whenever the ball was being passed around.
And we talked about at the beginning of the quarter, we talked about how Mary Washington at the time was out rebounding the Captains by 2, and Trey coming into the half, or coming, I guess, out of the half, we'll go into the third quarter. The Captains will have eclipsed that number. They now lead in reboundings 24-17. What about Bill Broderick's team and the way that this defense plays, leads us to believe that, this is like a point of emphasis in between quarters?
Well, I can tell you right now it's not going to be a light and happy conversation necessarily in the locker room for the Captains despite the lead. We know Bill Broderick is never satisfied. And while we have seen the Captains sharpen up in that second quarter, I promise you he saw still enough sloppiness that he will be talking about that. There's just less sloppiness than the Eagles. But to your point, Rob, as far as the defense goes, the defense maintains its intensity and integrity throughout the game. We didn't see as many turnovers through the press as we have in other games because of Mary Washington's ability to pass through the break, but we still saw the intensity and the effort level of that defense in the half-court set.
I mean, the Captains overall, I still expect this game is not over. It's a 20-point lead for sure. The Captains cannot rest on their laurels and say, we're good. This is a team that they play twice a year. Every year, Dean Appleby always has them ready to play. And when they were up in Fredericksburg this year, it ended up being a close game. And I think it's going to be important for the Captains to look at the scoreboard and say, we did some things well, but we can't just sit on that lead. We're going to have to continue to play. I mean, as you mentioned, Trey, Bill Broderick is almost never satisfied. He doesn't smile a whole lot during the game because he's always thinking about how his team can improve. And Noah, with this lead that the Captains have, I mean, we all know that the Captains aren't going to let up. They're not going to lose their focus. You'd be surprised if they did. What does Mary Washington have to do to combat that?
I mean, honestly, I think that they have to increase their offensive effort and offensive intensity because that was the main difference. Because these two teams were stacked up pretty evenly after the first quarter. Then the second quarter, I mean, we went on, an 11-2 run for CNU or something along those lines, and Mary Washington just couldn't get a shot to fall. And I think that they need to take more high-percentage shots and move the ball around in a better manner.
At the end of the first quarter, Mary Washington was shooting just about 53% from the field. Here at the half, they're only shooting about 35, so 36%. They started the game shooting 9 for 17, going into the half 11 for 31. That 14% shooting percentage, not great for Mary Washington. And part of that shot selection, part of that is defense, and the Captains have really had everything go their way in that second quarter where they didn't necessarily, I mean, they played fine basketball in quarter number one, but overall the Captains played better, I think, as a whole. And I think a lot of that had to do with depth.
I would agree with you there, Rob. And I would say, like you mentioned before, the respect that you have for this Mary Washington team means you have to keep going at it regardless of what lineup is out there. A bit surprised to see Dino Appleberry keep Jordan Carpenter on the bench for so long and not coming back out until the last 40 seconds of the second quarter. But yes, that is what I expect to see going forward is a few more minutes from Jordan Carpenter and playing in very intense because then now you're in a hole that you have to climb back out of possession by possession.
I mean, Appleberry and Broderick have been coaching against each other here for 10 years, and these two teams are very familiar with each other, so I would expect that this one may get interesting here going into half number 2. We'll run through the scoring here. Captains have only a few players who have played more than a full quarter. McGinnis and San Diego each have played 12 minutes apiece. But it's Anaya Simmons that leads the Captains. 13 points on the day, but only has 1 rebound. She's 6 for 6 shooting, which is great. But Simmons currently only 1 rebound on the day, which is not, I believe, not something you normally see. San Diego has 7 points. Terwilliger's got 7, as does Jessica Foster, who's 3 for 5 from the field. Of course, Hannah Kaloy and Olivia Giles have 3 apiece. Lexi White has 2, and Felicia McGinnis has 2 for the Captains. As for Mary Washington, They've been led by Keegan Schwab and Bree Harper. They have 5 apiece, and they're going to need the 2 of them to get more involved in the offense if they want a chance to get back into this game. Molly Sharman and Jordan Carpenter, they have 4 apiece, and then 2 points each from Ashley Martin, Tori Martin, and Sydney Sherman. So that's the scoring breakdown here at the half here in Newport News. And before we take a quick break, Trey, Noah, any final thoughts on the first 20 minutes of basketball?
You know, I think that it definitely was CNU showing how versatile they are on offense and why they are on this 33-game win streak and 16-0 on the season, because there was a perception, rivalry game. Last game, the margin was only 7 points, and they've come in and absolutely dominated. Now they're up by 20 at the half, and they show no signs of stopping.
I think, despite the fact that I was the one that said this game might start to see a bigger gap in the scoring totals.
Rub it in.
I think we should expect to see the Eagles come back out with a higher level of intensity. I think everyone in this building, including ourselves, themselves, and the coach, know that they are capable of much more. And we will see a return to that first quarter basketball and potentially even an uptick from there where they clean some more things up. So I expect this to be a great second half of basketball going forward.
We've got 20 minutes of basketball left to play. Captains lead this one 44-24 after a half. We'll be back in about 3 to 4 minutes, and you can enjoy the docile tones of the marching captains, the CNU pep band led by Dr. John Lopez. I imagine they'll get into it a little bit here, and you can enjoy that while we take a quick break. You're watching CNU women's basketball on cnusports.com/watch. Back here at the Freeman Center, Captains lead this one by 20, 44-24. In Newport News, the Captains, I wouldn't say well on their way to a 17th win of the year, but they've played the way they need to through 20 minutes, and they've got 20 more to go. And the Captains back on the floor. Mary Washington finishing up their halftime adjustments. And Noah, Trey, what are you most looking forward to going into the second half?
Well, I think I want to see how CMU is able to continue this run and also capitalize on Mary Washington's mistakes and then also on their Mary Washington. And I want to see if they can adjust those mistakes and come out of halftime more motivated and see if they can maybe not win the game but make it a little closer, make the scoreboard look a little better than it is right now.
Captains looking to extend their nation-leading 33-game win streak. Overall, though, they just continue to play well, whether it's here at the Freeman Center, whether it's on the road. They just happen to just knock things out of the park anywhere they play, and today has been no different as the clock runs down to triple zeros, and we wait for the teams to take the floor. And Trey, what are you expecting here in half number 2?
I am expecting to see a sharpened up Captains team. I think we'll see fewer mistakes, and a bit of slowing the game down, and to the Captains' standards of slowing things down. I think we'll see them take a little more time in their half-court sets, and we might even see a little more out of that press as far as producing some turnovers. For the Eagles, I expect to see, like I said, a greater intensity. I expect to see Jordan Carpenter coming out and just getting after it from the jump.
Here comes an opportunity down low with 12 seconds on the shot clock. Terwilliger just puts her big paws up and takes that ball right out of midair. McGinnis now across midcourt. Passes off to Terwilliger. Throws it up for 3. No good. Right off the front iron. Hustling out of play to try and get it was Sandra Fan. She makes her way back to the floor.
I mean, Terwilliger's already knocked down one, so, I mean, it's not out of character for her to put a shot up, and it just shows the versatility of this lineup that anyone can shoot from anywhere, and it's going to be a high percentage shot.
Ball inside now to the out. And Mary Washington getting their offense set. It's going to take quite a number of defensive stops from Mary Washington coupled with offensive production. Here comes a chance at that offensive production in the bucket from number 10, Keegan Schwab. Schwab now leads all Eagles with 7 points. 8:54 to go here in the opening minutes of the second half. San Diego on the outside, closer to the captain's bench. San Diego now passing to Thomas. Thomas drives, doesn't really have anywhere to go with it. She passes it back to San Diego. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Sandra Fan looks for a high screen. She gets it, pops back to three-point land. Puts it up, no good. Rebound comes to Terwilliger. She can't put it in. Terwilliger thought she saw a little bit more contact than she would have liked. Driving in, going up, getting fouled is Keegan Schwab, and the foul will be on number 32, Anitra Thomas.
And just like we talked about for Molly Sharman having the offensive mismatch over Gabby San Diego for the Eagles, Gabby San Diego has that speed and explosiveness matchup against Molly Sharman. And we saw it there a minute where she got the ball to Anaya Simmons and created some openings because she can beat her defender.
Keegan Schwab at the line, shooting. This is the first, sinks the second. Now the top of the key. San Diego. And a foul there on number 10, Keegan Schwab. I turned around right at the wrong time, missed it. "19 seconds on the shot clock. San Diego getting things moving. Ball movement to the outside to McGinnis. McGinnis gives it in to Simmons. Finally, they find an open Terwilliger for a pair.
Great find down there, and this time Terwilliger making sure she finishes at the rim. And that's just a great effort to jump in that passing lane by Felicia McInnes, and Anaya Simmons coming up on the other end to finish the fast break for the Captains.
You know, Nia Simmons is coming off a great game, 17 and 11 in the last Captains win, and she is definitely asserting herself in the point side of the column. Hasn't had as many rebounds as she has in the past, and it's somewhat unusual, but she's definitely there for the Captains.
Schwab now with a pullback, and then finally on the step back shoots, misses, and the rebound goes to the Captains. San Diego driving, passing it off to Simmons. Simmons seeing a lot of contact, ends up running into the cheerleaders underneath the bucket, and that ball trickles out of play. They say off of Terwilliger, and so it stays with the Eagles.
Two Julias stepping in for the Captains, Julia Ng and Julia Hobbs. Inbound, it's Molly Sharman. She's sitting up top, and there's Tori Martin, but Sandra Fan trying to jump that one, but gets called for a foul. And
Fan can't believe it. I mean, you can see it on her face. She's just not quite sure, and now she's going to come out of the game. She was coming out anyways. Winky was ready to sub in. The lead currently 21 for the Captains, 48-27, with 6:38 to go here in the third quarter. The lead maintained here for the Captains. It's up to 21. Now that ball's taken away by the Eagles. A good bit of defense, and Carpenter will slow things down, give it up to Schwab. Ball continue to move around down low. Foul on the floor by, I imagine, none other than Gabby San Diego.
it's a great effort by Jordan Carpenter to get the ball back for the Eagles after missing what I'm sure she believes should have been a made layup despite being contested. Keegan Schwab once again inbounding, and Tori Martin working on Julia Hobbs and getting it over despite some great defense by Julia Hobbs, hands straight up.
Good work there by Martin to get the play done, take care of business, throw it off the bank and in. Captains now getting things together on the offensive end of their own selves. 48-29 our score. The lead is 19. Jessica Foster climbing her way up the all-time three-pointers list. She's too shy of, I believe, third all-time. Passing it around. Now Foster shoots a three. Sinks it as time expires on the shot clock.
One step closer to third, Rob.
Now with 143 all-time. Up and ahead of her, a familiar name for you, Mackenzie Fancher. I don't know if you remember the days of Mackenzie Fancher between 2014 and 2018. She sank 144 in her career, and now Jess Foster is just one behind her to tie third all-time.
And, of course, that's not the priority. That's not the focus for Jessica Foster or for this Captains team. But it's got to be awesome, right? Like, when you're thinking about surpassing some all-times, and, you know, with this program, the caliber of this program, like, you know, we just talked about the winning streak that this Captains team set up, and now Jessica Foster approaching the top three in shooting three-pointers made. As Winky gets one off, and that one's short.
Winky no good, and the foul there as that ball ends up in the hands of our analyst, Noah Schubert. I'll pass it back to the official, and we'll take immediate timeout. We'll actually take this one. We'll step away. 51-29 our score. We'll be right back. You're watching CNUsports.com/watch. Back here at the Freeman Center, Rob Smith, Trey Walker, and Noah Schubert here courtside, bringing you the action. And Noah is the captains and Eagles currently really trading buckets here in the third quarter. What have you liked from the captains as they get back into action here in quarter number 3?
Well, what I like the most is I think that they are not relying on their normal scores to get points up. I mean, we've seen specifically Sandra Fan, she's shooting 0 for 5, 0 for 2 from 3, hasn't been able to get the looks that she wants, but there are players who are stepping up. I mean, you have Terwilliger with 9, Simmons with 15, Foster with 10, and so this is a team where even if you cut off one head, 2, 3, 4 more will come in its place and be successful and put up points.
We talked about depth a little bit earlier in the game. That ball up and in from Kaloy. Captains just extend their lead a little bit further, 53-29. And this is really the product of a 4-point second quarter for Mary Washington. They were ice cold.
Like you mentioned about the bench points and production, Rob, captains with 20 points off the bench, Eagles matching up with just 7. And when you're being outscored with starters and the bench, that's how we come to this result. We've got to see a little bit more out of the bench from the Eagles, especially like as we see more and more different lineups going as the Eagles take it back the other way. Megan Baxter
gets blocked in an offensive foul earned by Jessica Foster. And Foster just kind of got in there and sacrificed the body. We talked about that earlier, Trey. Foster now inbounds the ball. She'll get that back. And captains offensively firing on all cylinders today. There's Ing, now Rader to the outside. Winky. Winky will look for Kaloy but can't find her. Now back to Foster at the top of the key into Rader. Ball continues to move. Now they find Kaloy, who they were looking for the whole time. And then the rebound ends up in the hands of number 23, Jordan Carpenter, before the whistle blows and the ball ends up on the floor.
And everything about that possession, Rob, is what you like to see from any team. Great ball movement, great personnel movement, except obviously not ending in points, which is obviously the desired result.
15 foul gets the Eagles to the line, so Carpenter will be shooting a pair. Carpenter so far on the day as she's at the line. Misses that one. She's got 4 points in her 19 minutes of play. No Eagle is eclipsed 10, where the captains have both Simmons and Foster above the double-digit mark. The number that really sticks out to me is that no captain has more than 4 rebounds today. But quite a number of captains have at least 4 rebounds. That ball's out to Foster for 3. No. Rebound by Rader. Back to Ing. Ing will kick it back out to Foster. 3:08 to go here in the quarter. 23 points to lead for Christopher Newport. 23 with the ball, out to Foster. Now Rader. Rader drives and finds Ing down low. Ing will kind of put up an awkward shot, and that ball gets rebounded by Carpenter, and the Eagles go the other way. Captain's call for a trap. Rader now defending the Eagles. Ball into Ing. Baxter wasn't able to find a way to get up there, and she passes it back to Ashley Martin, who finds the big one in the middle, Tori Martin. Up for Carpenter, no good. Rebound to Ing. Ing picks up her dribble, has to find Foster.
And just to take a second to go back to what you said before, Rob, I think what we can attribute
Three-pointer there from Rader, no good.
all of those rebounds by those captains, all those 4+ rebounds, is the lack of boxing out we're seeing from the Eagles. And it's not as though the captains are a much larger team than the Eagles. It's more so it seems to be a kind of an intentional effort to box the captains out. And so there's a lot of loose balls that we're seeing flying around. And the captains are just the first ones to get it. We've seen that hustle from them. And whether it's on defense, offense, or in between, they're getting the rebounds.
Eagles now with the ball, and the captains just completed a full line change. San Diego, Simmons, Simmons, Fan, Orloff, and who am I missing? Felicia McGinnis on the floor. As for the visitors, it's Schwab, Carpenter, Martin, and Baxter. With 2 minutes to go here in the quarter.
And speaking of surprising numbers, I think 4 points by Carpenter is pretty surprising, especially considering all 4 of those came in the first quarter.
And a foul there as Carpenter's going to have the chance to score a few more.
And we've also talked about depth here, and I think that Mary Washington is suffering from the fact that their bench is not contributing much at all. So you have players like Carpenter, kind of the quote-unquote main scorer, struggling, and no one's really there to back her up on the other end. And with CNU, I mentioned earlier how you have a lot of players who have put up good points in the box score, and I can't say the same for Mary Washington.
Carpenter misses her first. Captains are, really both teams are scoreless in the last 90 seconds of play as that ball is in and that drought ends for Mary Washington. Captains haven't scored about 2.5 minutes. 1 for 7 for shooting in their last 7. Struggling right now, only 1 for 11. Then this little stretch of game is good hustle from Carpenter. Gets another steal. And really, this is where Mary Washington needs to start putting points on the board. Because they're getting the stops, they're just not taking advantage with the buckets on the other end. Ball down low and a foul on Orloff. And the bonus will put Carpenter at the line again. Carpenter 2 for 4 from the charity stripe today.
I think one main thing that's hindering this Mary Washington offense is a lack of court vision and also ball movement, because there are a lot of open players that you see screaming around the three-point line down below, and the point guards and the players with the ball aren't seeing them, and then also when they are finally seeing them, or they're just trying to find some form of open shot, they're forcing passes and they're getting intercepted, battered away by captains, and just ending the Eagles' possessions.
Captains now with the ball as Terwilliger gets set to check in. That ball to the outside, Sandra Fan, now to McGinnis, back to San Diego. Captains have been moving the ball around nicely, orchestrating the offense with ease. 53-33, a 20-point lead for the ladies in pink this afternoon here on their Breast Cancer Awareness Day. 2 seconds, a shot from McGinnis in the corner, bounces off into the hands of Orloff, who goes up and poked out of play by McGinnis, and I think she knows it, and she'll come out of this one. So Orloff on her way to the bench. Terwilliger comes in, just 1 point shy of 10 on the day. She'd be the third captain to eclipse that double-digit number. Still no captain with more than 4 rebounds on the day. Meanwhile, Carpenter leads everybody on the floor with 10. The outside, 14 seconds on the shot clock. Driving in, going up, missing the layup, and collecting it is Carpenter. So now Carpenter's got herself a double-double today. 21 minutes of action and a timeout from Bill Broderick.
That was great instincts there by Carpenter. As soon as she saw that she wasn't going to get the ball from Tori Martin, she cuts down the lane, waiting for the miss, and is instantly there for the putback.
Captains going into this media timeout, lead it by 18, so their lead has been cut into just a little bit. And with about 10 minutes and 32 seconds to go in this contest, it may be inconsequential, but to Bill Broderick, nothing is inconsequential. That's why you win 16 on your way to 17 in a row. But, Noah, through this quarter, what are the things that the captains either haven't done well, or you think Bill Broderick is picking as pain points right now?
Well, I think that they're just simply not making shots. And I think that that's something that you really can't do, obviously, because you want to score as many points as possible. That's just how sports work. But I think that CNU needs to not be so relaxed on offense. I mean, you can't become complacent. You go up 20, yes, you're up 18 now, but this is still a rivalry game. This is still a Mary Washington team that could cut the lead to kind of a scary point. So I think the captain needs to up the intensity and just keep the same pressure they've been having for the first 2 quarters into the third.
Ball inside to Terwilliger, up and in. She gets the and one. It's their first bucket in 4 minutes of play. The captains finally break a 6-0 scoring run from the Eagles and extend the lead back to 20.
And I don't know if she has eyes in the back of her head or just a great sense of awareness, but Natalie Terwilliger was able to get that ball up instantly right after catching it and having 3 Eagles collapsing in on her.
So Terwilliger to the line. She's got 11 points now on the day. Make it 12. Simmons leads the team with 15, Terwilliger with 12, and Foster with 10. That's where the scoring has come from for the captains. Of course, we'll run through all the numbers at the end of the game after the final 10 minutes. 8 seconds to go here in the quarter. Driving, calling her own number is 14, Baxter. Baxter gets it in the net. And the lead is down to 19, so it was cut into just a bit. Captains lose the quarter by 1, and Bill Broderick likes to win every quarter. And that one, Mary Washington with the bucket at the end cuts the lead to 19. But 10 minutes of play to cut the lead by 1 point is not exactly what Mary Washington was hoping for through that last 10 minutes. We've still got 10 minutes left to play. What are you guys thinking at the moment? If you're head coach, Dina Appleberry.
Well, if I'm Dina Appleberry, I'm still taking the approach that I took going into this second half. It wasn't the most productive third quarter that you would have liked, but you've got to take it one possession at a time and continue to get these looks down low and be efficient in the paint, as well as obviously stopping the captains on the other end.
And we've mentioned how Bill Broderick is never satisfied. I think that, as you said, he hates losing, even if it's just by 1 in a quarter and you're still up by 19 points. So I think that he's going to still be screaming at his players to, even though this game is seemingly out of reach, we want to score as many points as possible. We want to win by as much as possible. This is a rivalry game. You want to embarrass your rivals. And you want to come out of this thinking good about yourself and not thinking, hey, we were just better than them, so we won. No, you want to pulverize them. You want to come out of this feeling proud.
Three-pointer right off the bat is good from 32, Harper. And the lead is now 16.
And you cannot give her that kind of time or space to get a good look off.
So San Diego getting the offense started in the fourth quarter. 16 is not insurmountable. I think the captains have got to know that. Mary Washington got on a bit of a run there to end the quarter. Currently on a 5-0 run with a bucket at the end of the quarter and then one to start the quarter. As San Diego gets fouled, she'll go to the charity stripe for a pair. Mary Washington on their bench, they certainly haven't lost hope in this one. Continue to work hard. Free throws, famously, they say, win ball games, and Gabby San Diego sinks that first of 2. She's 1 for 1 from the line today. That was her very first shot, and she sinks the second one, extends the lead to 18. 9:23 to go here in Newport News. This is the only game happening today. Tomorrow you can catch CNU men's and women's indoor track programs here on CNUsports.com/watch. An indoor track and field meet here at the Vince Brown track in the Freeman Center. Mary Washington looking to make this one interesting right now. Driving, going up, and scoring is Martin. Tori Martin adds to her resume for the day.
Great strength and composure by Martin down low.
Terwilliger for 3, no good. Rebound comes fortuitously to Ng. And San Diego resets. And slowing down, captains. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Down low to Terwilliger and a turnover.
And the lane was there. The vision and the play that they had drawn up was there. Natalie Terwilliger sitting on that low block with an opportunity to turn and get an easy layup off. But Sandra Fan just missing the mark with the pass.
A bit of trouble here and a travel there on Martin. Great defense for the captains, forces the turnover. Bam lets them know with their chirps from the sidelines. Captains get a fresh shot clock after the turnover. San Diego drives, calls her own number, touches it off the glass. Just a bit of English on that one, as she was underneath the basket and spun that one off the iron.
And not just the basket, but her defender as well.
Carpenter comes the other end, gets fouled. Harper, I think, wanted the ball. She was wide open for three. Carpenter went up for it and got fouled, so Carpenter will go to the line for a pair of shots. She's 4 for 6 from the charity stripe today. Here at 24 minutes of play, 10 points, 12 rebounds, a couple of steals, a couple of blocks. Sinks the first. Also sinks the second. So 6 for 8. The lead is back to 16 for the Captains. 8 minutes to go. It'll have to be a quick-moving game for Mary Washington with a lot of defensive stops. They held the Captains to just 12 points in that third quarter. They're going to need similar effort with an offensive outburst and an offensive foul there on Sandra Fan. She cannot believe it. Drops her shoulders in exasperation, and a turnover gives Mary Washington the ball back.
And I think that's what the referee saw, Rob, was that she dropped her shoulder and leaned into her defender.
Carpenter goes up and gets fouled by Terwilliger from behind. Terwilliger can't believe it either, as the ball was passed up to Carpenter from, I believe, Schwab. And Carpenter kind of caught it midair, and she was right behind Terwilliger, and not much Natalie Terwilliger could do but throw her hands up in exasperation as well.
And it's good to see her get up and seemingly unhurt.
Yeah, I mean, she took a hard fall as she goes to the line for two and sinks the first.
I mean, she's jumping, and they're throwing it to her as if she's going to be throwing down some alley-oops. I mean, she is jumping early, and, I mean, she's got the athleticism. It's clear to see that, and so I'm happy to see, that she's all right after that fall.
Another pair from the line, and the lead is now 14. The Captains slowing things down. Mary Washington looking for another stop. Not a lot of off-ball movement. Now they're setting up to run the play. A little bit of confusion, it seems like. The Captains are a little out of sorts. Three-pointer from the corner. McGinnis, she gets it.
That was definitely a shot that the Captains needed to fall. They've been stuttering a little bit. The lead had cut down to 14, and now they reassert themselves.
Good takeaway from behind from San Diego. She calls her own number all the way down the floor, and just like that, the Captains are on a 5-0 run. The lead is back to 19. Schwab now with it. 7 to go. Driving up, Martin. Ball tipped away by Terwilliger. Through the baseline, up by Schwab. No good. Rebound by Terwilliger. San Diego now back across the timeline, and will slow things down. Important run there from the Captains. Started with a three-pointer from Felicia McGinnis, then a steal from behind. San Diego picked the pocket of her opponent. Came the other way, and Sandra Fan for three. No good.
And I know it's just a difference of 5 points, Rob, but
5 points is a big swing.
the difference between what 14 points and 19 points is as a deficit feels much larger than what you might think.
Especially as this game starts to wrap up. 6 minutes and change left at the Freeman Center. And another block by Terwilliger. The block party continues for the Captains. That is her, I believe, 5th block of the day.
Pressure really setting in as the Captains are maintaining defensive integrity, and on the other end, you see as the Eagles, they're slowing the tempo down. They're not playing that very quick pace because they know they don't need to score a whole lot of points going in these last 6 minutes.
Terwilliger will take the three-pointer. Front iron, no good. It stays in the Captains' direction, so they'll get the benefit of a reset shot clock. 20 on the board. Couple of subs in for the Captains. In comes Foster, in comes Winky.
Not only did you just take 30 seconds off the clock, but you get the ball back to do it again. I mean, 25 seconds, 27 seconds, and each one of those is crucial for the Eagles.
And it's honestly a little demoralizing because you hold the Captains to all the way down. You think you're doing good on defense, and then you fumble it almost out of bounds and give CNU new life in a brand new possession.
To equate it to a football analogy, it's like giving up a third down or a fourth down. You know, you played great through the first few downs, and then you give it up, and they have renewed life on the offensive end.
Ball gets passed in. After a foul down low, they had to reset. The foul was on number 23, Carpenter. First second of the day. Down low, Terwilliger, power dribble, reverse, layup, in. The lead now back to 21, and Terwilliger's got 14 points on the day.
That's her go-to. I mean, one dribble and up, one or two dribbles and up, and that's exactly, keep it simple and go to your signature.
The Captains have gotten a little bit from everybody. Ball around. Ball goes up, rebound falls to Schwab.
I don't know if I'd say falls so much as I say she went up and got that one, Rob.
Resetting the offense are the Eagles. Carpenter now on the outside. Carpenter was open, passed it in, and that ball got taken away by Felicia McGinnis. McGinnis with the steal. It's a lot of good things to talk about. Foster for three. Yes.
There it is.
Jessica Foster now with 3 on the day, and she needs one more to surpass Mackenzie Fancher. Jessica Foster doing it all today. She's now tied Mackenzie Fancher for 3rd all-time in three-point field goals made at 144. She's now 12 three-pointers behind Dana Edwards for 2nd all-time. And I don't see any, there's no chance she'll pass Chelsea Schweers, but Jessica Foster with plenty of time left in her career, at least in this season, to hit at least 12, 13 more three-pointers. She's well on her way to 2nd all-time. And, of course, Sandra Fan actually right behind her at 5th all-time with 122. So this Captains team has got the benefit of a few very electric shooters right after a time in place where Mackenzie Fancher and Anitra Thomas were 2 great three-point shooters, and they climbed the list together. Bill Broderick replaces them with Jessica Foster and Sandra Fan, and they climbed the list together 4 years afterwards. So I imagine sometime in the next year or so, we're going to see 2 more electric three-point shooters coming in for Bill Broderick. The lead for the Captains, my math is right, is 24. It's a 70-46 ball game.
Here to confirm your math, Rob.
Rob learned addition in elementary school and keeps that going to this day.
You never stop learning, Noah. The outside Carpenter's right there. Martin for 3. No good. Rebound by Terwilliger. That's her 6th.
You know, one thing I'm seeing from Carpenter on offense, and this might be kind of a niche thing, is that
Terwilliger for 3. No.
I think that Carpenter might be realizing this game might be a little out of hand, so she's trying to give her teammates some opportunities. I think that she was willing on her teammate number 50, that was Tori Martin, to shoot the 3, and as we saw that she, on a couple possessions ago, she let a wide open 3 just go and pass it inside. So I think she's trying to boost her teammates because she realizes maybe we won't win this one, but maybe they can get some experience.
Now the outside. A foul there on Simmons, her 4th personal. Score 70-46 here, 3:39 to go, and that was after the game. We'll wrap it up. We'll talk to head coach Bill Broderick. I'll get the chance to have that conversation, and then we'll continue to have our post-game conversation about the way the Captains played, what they've got coming up in a few road games, and we'll have to pick ourselves a Virginia Lottery player of the game, as we do every night here at the Freeman Center. Ball inside, now batted away by Foster. And back into the game is Sandra Fan.
And, you know, speaking of Fan, it made me think, as we were talking about those three-point leaders, the amazing thing is that I don't know that I would even necessarily think of Sandra Fan as a three-point shooter first. I mean, she's obviously very efficient, and she takes her shot. She's not afraid, but she is a slashing kind of guard and scores a lot of points in transition. But if you give her the opportunity, she will take it.
There's another block from Terwilliger. Her 6th block of the day.
Just an iron wall today at the rim.
7 rebounds, 6 blocks, 14 points for Natalie Terwilliger. Just having herself a day. Sandra Fan now. Fan driving. Goes up for the layup. She was blocked. The rebound comes to Tori Martin. Trying to get out of there, and that ball is just sent errantly out of play.
I got to give props to Sandra Fan. It was tough when she went into double coverage and had it blocked, but then she got back right on her horse on defense and forced that pass because they kept him in their own half of the court for so long, and now CNU's got the ball back.
And this is what separates the Captains from a lot of other good teams, is that under 3 minutes in, you're up 24. What we might expect to see from some other teams is starting to slow down and get a little sloppy and sluggish because the game seems out of hand, but that's not something you'll see from Bill Broderick's Captains.
6 seconds on the shot clock. Back out to Terwilliger. Terwilliger gives it to Foster. Foster for three. No good. Rebound comes to Carpenter. Carpenter's fouled by Giles, and that's the 5th foul, team foul for the Captains, so we'll head the other way for a couple of Carpenter free throws.
Was it just me, or did you kind of feel like standing up in case you made that? Like, I almost felt myself lift up because I was expecting her to hit that one and become the 3rd all-time.
You know, I was certainly, you could hear it in my voice. I was ready to be excited about that one.
A good old Mike Breen bang, if you will.
Yeah, potentially.
I know we're supposed to be neutral, but yeah, I almost jumped up and hit my knees on mistake.
70-46 after the missed free throw.
It seems like Carpenter's taking half her shots from the free throw line. She is constantly there. I think that she is being pretty efficient from the line.
9 for 12 today. 75%. It's about what you would want. I mean, she's 9 for 12 from the line, 3 for 10 shooting from the rest of the floor. So most of her points, 15 of them today, have come from that 15-foot line. She's also got 13 rebounds today, and really has been the brightest spot on Mary Washington's box score. As Terwilliger is out, and I believe her day is done, as White gets rejected there. And Terwilliger will come out with 14 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. It's a pretty good day.
That's a pretty solid game all the way through. Contributing in just about every way imaginable there.
And a foul there. Another free throw opportunity. This time it will be Schwab. Schwab is 1 for 2 from the line today. Schwab has led the team in minutes. She's got 33 on the floor by the time this one's over, assuming she plays the next 2. She'll end her day with 35 minutes, now with 9 points, 1 shy of 10 total. She's got 5 rebounds, 4 assists. A pretty good day for Schwab as well, running the point for this Eagles team. White falls to the ground, maintains her dribble, and throws it off of Tori Martin, and the Captains maintain possession. They do only have 6 seconds now to get the ball across half court, but there's not really a press or a worry. So Foster brings it across the timeline now, setting up with Orloff. Foster will go to the far side, and there goes Katie Rader. Rader back to Foster. Now inside, and Orloff got fouled on the floor, not shooting, and with 1 minute and 33 seconds to go, the lead 22 for the Captains. A very different story than the first time these two teams played. It was less than 10 points between the two of them. A final score of 68-61. Orloff goes up and she scores, and the bench goes crazy for Orloff.
That was some shifty post moves. I think she double pumped, spun the ball around, and was able to get around her defender, and I think that's why the bench acted as they did.
Carpenter ends up almost lost that ball. And 1 minute to go here in this contest. Ball is up and in from Schwab. The lead is 22 with 1 minute to go, and the Captains are well on their way to extending this winning streak to 34 games, 17-0 here on the season. Ball is up, no good. The band's starting to wish their opponents safe travels home. And a jump ball. Captains will get this ball with 37.7 seconds to go in the contest. They'll have to take at least one more shot. Who knows? Maybe Jessica Foster will just throw one up there. The Captains won't be at home again for about 3 weeks. They'll be back to close out their season on the 19th of February against Salisbury.
And that's a senior night game, Rob, and similar to what we saw in this matchup after the first round against Mary Washington, I feel like we'll see another increased intensity against Salisbury, because that was a close game. That was a 6-point difference in the final score, 63-57. Captains turn it over there.
I mean, that was another close game, but they'll have to play Mount Mary and Finlandia. I believe that game against Finlandia actually got canceled. It's against Mount Mary, and I believe they play Wheaton when they go up on their Midwest trip. 8 seconds to go in this one. That ball is up and misses everything. 3 seconds to go. The Captains will pass it in. So after Mount Mary and Wheaton, they'll play against UC Santa Cruz up in Fredericksburg. They'll play Pratt in Fredericksburg, and then they'll be back here for their season finale before going out to Santa Cruz for the conference tournament. But they win this one and improve to 17-0 with the 72-50 final score. 17-0 for the Captains, and we've got a lot to talk about. Let's get rolling with today's post-game show. First and foremost, thoughts from both of you guys on this contest.
Well, I think if you are Dina Appleberry and the Eagles, when we talk about takeaways, one thing to consider is you have more freshmen than any other class on this team. You have 5 freshmen, and then between juniors, sophomores, and seniors, you have 4 each. So that said, there's a lot of experience gained in a game like this. I think you have to take the positive, obviously, with a lot of corrections to make. But the positive being, let's take a look at how we started this game. Let's take a look at all the good things we did in the beginning of this game, and now how can we extend that throughout an entire game against a team of this caliber?
And for the Captains, I think that even though that this has been a season where they haven't lost a game yet, this is almost a statement win, because the last game against Mary Washington was a little closer than you'd wanted. Now you come here, you win by 22, and it's an absolutely fantastic win for CNU.
And I'm going to have Noah pass his headset over to head coach Bill Broderick, and joining us on today's post-game show. The Captains improved to 17-0 on the season, now the longest winning streak in the nation. And I know you don't really care about the numbers in the winning streak. 17-0 so far this year. First and foremost, congratulations on the win today, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Yeah, you know me. I don't get caught up in a whole lot of that stuff, but I really like how we came out. I mean, they came out to play. It took a little while, but then, to be up 20 or whatever at the half, I mean, against a good team, I think we did a really, really good job. A little slow coming out of the locker room. I was worried about that a little bit. Lost the third quarter by 1, but finished okay. Got a chance to get everybody on the floor. I thought, both of our point guards, I thought San Diego and Foster were huge, combined for 26 points, and then our starting post, obviously, were really good. I also thought Hannah Kaloy gave us some really good minutes in there as well. So it's a great team effort. You look at the stats here. I mean, 22 assists to 10 turnovers. I mean, that's just really good. Really sharing the ball, and 15 offensive boards. So I'd like to shoot it a little bit better, both from three-point and from the free throw line. But I'll take it. They're a tough team. They're extremely well coached, and just a really tough half-court team. So we, I think we hung in there.
And Coach, we talked about at the beginning of the game about we expected a tight one, close one. You had a good tough contest up in Fredericksburg. After that first quarter, what were the adjustments or what were the changes that, it was a 4-point game after the first quarter. At halftime, you're leading by 20, only allowed 4 in that second. What were the changes between quarters 1 and 2?
The biggest change was we switched from our zone press to our man press. That was the biggest change. they were getting a lot in the back of the press. It's tough. Carpenter's, she can really get up. And so, we just struggled with that with their numbers. But I think once we adjusted to the man and we were able to stay in front of them, I think that really made the difference, because then they had to work for every basket. We weren't making them work too hard in the first quarter. They were either getting layups at the end or, they had numbers and they were kicking out for open shots. So I think that was a big difference, and we stayed in that for the rest of the game.
Just kind of a side note on this contest, just like an extra little piece of information for you. Jess Foster today, with her performance, climbs the all-time three-point list, now third all-time, tied with Benzo. Mackenzie Fancher, of course, 144 three-pointers all-time. And right behind her, Sandra Fan, the two of them over the 4 years that they've played here at the Freeman Center, combining for just over 250 three-pointers all-time. Right after an era where Mackenzie Fancher and Anitra Thomas climbed the list together. Talk about those two seniors in particular and the way Foster has been able to play off the bench this year.
Yeah, any time, and I would put Felicia McGinnis in there as well. I mean, she's probably, other than this year, she probably shoots the highest percentage. But, having a senior with that much experience that you can bring off the bench, and, we can play her as a point, we can play her as a wing, and so that's really nice. Have 13 points, 3 assists, and 0 turnovers. That's just clutch. She's been there. She's played in big games. She's played in Sweet 16s. So for her, the moment is never too big. So, yeah, it's clutch. We constantly, we just constantly want to reload and not necessarily, rebuild. So we're hoping we've got some other kids on the bench that I think can really play, and some other kids coming in. So hopefully when these guys walk out, we'll keep some more people coming in.
And on the note of Sandra Fan, she didn't have a great night shooting tonight, but still had 6 assists, 4 rebounds, really helped Anaya Simmons get going with her 15 points. How nice is it to know that you can have a great scorer like Sandra Fan have the day that she did today and still beat a very good team in Mary Washington by 22?
Yeah, we were able to beat them up there without her. She was out with COVID, so we didn't even have her up there. The energy she brings, especially defensively, guarding their best player often. 6 assists, like you said, is really good. She's kind of our heartbeat, though. She brings the energy to the floor. I think she definitely did that. Didn't have a great shooting day, but, they were really, really focusing on her. So, you're going to have days like that when you're getting doubled every time you touch the ball and things like that. So, so I think that gives an opportunity for some other people to knock down baskets. And I think that's where you really saw San Diego and Foster really prosper, because I think they were really shading more doubling with on Fan.
Last question for you, Coach. You're about to head on a bit of a road trip here. You're playing Mount Mary and Wheaton, and then you've got a couple of more conference games before closing out here in the middle of February. What are you looking forward to as the conference schedule really gets comes to fruition, I should say?
Yeah, the Mount Mary game actually was canceled due to them working on getting enough players and stuff. They've had some injuries and some different things, so we're actually going to replace that game with the Wheaton game.
So then playing Finlandia instead.
And then playing
Finlandia. Okay,
the
I just missed which game was replaced.
Yep, Wheaton is very good. This year they're 13-5. They started the year off ranked. One of their big kids is hurt. I don't know whether she should be back. That makes a difference. But they're a very good team. Reminds you a lot of, a Scranton, Gettysburg type of team. So on the road up there in Chicago, that's going to be a tough road game. And then, then going up to Finlandia, they're a 500 team. But, man, they've had some great games. And lost by 5, I think, to Eau Claire up there, who was ranked 17th. So it'll be neat. It'll be a neat trip. A lot of the girls haven't been to that part of the country. I hear it stays minus whatever degrees. So although right now it's we've had 20 degrees, so I feel like we're kind of ready anyway. But yeah, so we're looking forward to that trip before we come back and then face Santa Cruz. who's really, really good as well. So we've got some really tough games coming up, but I think that's good, and I like where we're at, and I like our focus.
Perfect, Coach. And again, congratulations on the win today, and best of luck the rest of the way. We'll see you in a couple weeks here as senior night against Salisbury.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Perfect. As we continue to wrap up here, I'll pass it over to Trey, and we'll get Noah involved as well. Getting the chance to hear head coach Bill Broderick's comments, what are your thoughts heading into this? Is the only home game they had in January heading into this long road trip?
Well, like he said, there's some tough matchups coming up, but you gotta love his approach to it. Obviously, he has great belief in his players and in the system that they run. But as well as, in addition to that, he has great respect for who he's playing. He's not going to, he's not looking forward and further ahead than the first game that they're going to be playing next, and he's not going to allow his team to play down to levels of teams that may not be quite the same record or have the same status or, prestige and whatnot. So I think that is going to be very helpful for the team going forward.
And I think definitely looking down the line, the Captains, they don't have the easiest of schedules, and of course it's always not fun playing on the road for such a long period of time, but they've already dealt through adversity during this season. I mean, it was a week between their last game and this one, so they have had time off, and I don't think that has affected them that much. I mean, they came out with a 22-point win, so I don't think that either being on the road for a long stretch or having time between games is really affecting this team in any way.
So they'll be on the road next weekend against Finlandia and Wheaton. I believe they play Wheaton on Saturday. You can find all the information about the next Captains games on CNUsports.com. And we'll talk quickly, run down the scoring for Mary Washington. They were led by Jordan Carpenter. She had 15 points, 9 of which were from the line. She also had 13 rebounds in the double-double that kept her team afloat for most of the day. Keegan Schwab ended up with 11, the only other Eagle in double figures. Bree Harper was short behind her with 8. Tori Martin had 6. Molly Sharman had 4. And Martin, that is Ashley Martin, Sydney Sherman, and Megan Baxter each had 2 apiece. As for the Captains, they were led by Anaya Simmons with 15 points, and right behind her, our Virginia Lottery player of the game, Natalie Terwilliger, shot 6 for 12 today from the field, scored 14 points, had 7 rebounds and 6 blocks, only 1 turnover on the day, and all of that, by the way, only in 18 minutes. Our Virginia Lottery player of the game, Natalie Terwilliger, with 14, and then right behind her was Gabby Sandiego and Jessica Foster with 13 points apiece. Again, Jess Foster climbing up to third all-time in the 3 points made record or in a career with 144. She is now 1 away from taking sole possession away from Mackenzie Fancher for third all-time. Those are the 4. That is San Diego, Simmons, Terwilliger, and Foster with more than 10 today. And they also had Kaloy and McInnes with 5, 3 from Olivia Giles, and 2 from Lexi White. So that rounds out the scoring for today. And before we say so long, we want to thank you for tuning in. The Captains' focus today was breast cancer awareness. They were wearing their pink uniforms, and of course, our hearts go out to anybody struggling with that, who either struggling with it personally, has a family member who has breast cancer. We want to make sure to say, go get checked, go get taken care of. It's an important issue for the Captains, something that they care about. We wanted to make sure to send our little info piece at the end as well. And of course, before we say so long, do you guys have any final thoughts before we really set up the next game?
I think the Captains did a great job, especially winning the turnover battle. Mary Washington, 17 turnovers, Captains, the 10 CNU plus 15 turnover ratio throughout the season, and I think that really won them the game in a sense because they're able to keep good possession of the ball, and head coach Bill Broderick mentioned their assist to turnover ratio of 22-10. That's exactly what you want to see.
And I think Noah made a good point earlier about the Captains facing some adversity throughout this season, and I think a first quarter that we saw today is another example of that. Not getting off to the fastest start or the greatest start, continuing through, but they fought through and continued to do so with not just the top of the list and the roster with the starters, but throughout with the bench and all that depth. So,
Captains improve again to 17-0 with the 72-50 victory over Mary Washington. Again, they'll be in action next week at Wheaton on Saturday and then Finlandia on Sunday. You can find out all the information you need to know about that trip on cnusports.com and cnusports.com/watch. Our next broadcast will be tomorrow right here at the Freeman Center. CNU men's track and field, men's and women's indoor track and field will take to the Mondo Turf here at the Vince Brown Memorial Track, and that'll be tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. And, of course, the next basketball game will be Wednesday at Salisbury. That'll be on Extra 99.1 FM and right here on cnusports.com/watch. So until next time, until then, we wish you the smoothest of sailing. Final score in this one, 72-50, and you heard it here on cnusports.com/watch.